Now we're going to go ahead and jump right into the maintenance management portion of lease management. And it's very, very important to really focus and understand what needs to be surrounded around maintenance. The reason why it's so important is because among the top, I would say, 2 reasons that a resident may leave your property where they otherwise would stay is because of poorly managed maintenance items. Okay, poorly managed maintenance items. So it's very, very important when we say that we are focused on protecting your overall profit. Maintenance management is one of those key areas that allows us to truly protect your overall profit. Now, in our complimentary consultation, that is something that we go over with you as a landlord as far as what we expect when it comes to maintenance and why. And then we like to, align that with and see how that lines up with your overall goals and your expectations for maintenance and how that is supposed to go. Because it is such a touchy area, all of our landlords that we actually bring on board, they're very much on board with getting maintenance items completed, getting them completed on time, because we have a transparent approach from the very beginning as far as what cost and what fees you should expect just for property management in general. Because they have kind of that full viewpoint, they're not surprised by a lot of items. Okay, the other thing that we do is we actually do an inspection in getting the property on, and that's where a home inspector will come out to the property, a licensed home inspector will come out to the property, and they will inspect the property for you. They kind of do the property management version of that. Okay, the same one that you may get for sales, they do a property management version of that. And I think for most of them, it's like a 4-point inspection, if you guys are familiar with that. So it checks all of your major items, okay? It checks your roof, it checks for the HVAC system, your water heater, and those sort of things, your plumbing, checks all of those things. So we are not surprised with maintenance items that come up. We found that to be an excellent addition to our services. Again, that's not an additional charge to you, but that is something that we provide as a part of your services for this very reason. Okay, again, maintenance is very touchy. When it's done correctly, you know it. When it's done incorrectly, you know it. Okay, so that is something that we focus on, and doing that ahead of time, knowing ahead of time the condition of the property and what's going on with it really allows us, even if maintenance work does need to be done, aside from the cosmetic recommendations that we make for you, if something really does need to be done, it allows us to really plan for that and take care of it before we're surprised with it in an emergency situation. Okay, but with our maintenance management, we rely heavily on our electronic portal for that. In order to keep track of everything, we have different work order requests where you can see in the system where everything is at. When something, you're able to approve something at that point or decline it, we keep all the estimates streamlined there and where everything is. So it's a great tool. Again, if you're not big on the electronic portal, we do pick up the phone and call you as well. But that is our way of making sure that everything is documented. And again, if we wound up in some sort of situation, legal situation, that is a huge tool for knowing when the request was officially made, how long it took before someone responded, those sort of things. So it's also our method of accountability. So that's why it's very important. Okay, all of the conversations surrounding that also go in that tool as well. Okay, but we really love that aspect. For our maintenance, we do have a list of preferred vendors. I mentioned previously that we're in BNI, which is just an international network of vendors who kind of get together, make sure everything is taken care of. We actually meet every Tuesday morning, so I am held accountable to these vendors for the services that I provide. I also hold them accountable for the services that they provide. So it's not a way where you can really dodge people. What most people know that as, if you're familiar with like Angie's List or something in that regard, it's really like an Angie's List on steroids, okay? And it has higher accountability levels. With our preferred vendors, we actually get preferred scheduling, we get preferred pricing as well. And also we want to make sure that the service is there and the quality of service is there. One thing that we believe in is that they are an extension of us and we are an extension of them. So it's very, very important to us that they provide the quality of service necessary. And every time we use them, we're basically reevaluating them, okay? Because we're getting feedback on the job they just completed. How well was it done? How well did they clean up? Those sort of things. And that's how we keep these binding relationships with our preferred vendors. Again, if they somehow, have something go on with scheduling, employees, they don't have as many employees, they have higher turnover, things like that, and something's happening within their business for a season, we also know that information and we can hold off on using them until they're able to restructure things. So we find that to be very important. If you do have your own vendors that you currently use, you're still welcome to use those vendors. All we ask is that you would go ahead and provide us with their information so we can have it on file, again, so we could give you that ease of mind and that peace that you're looking for, where you're not the one scheduling and coordinating that. So again, we do schedule, coordinate all of the work that needs to be done to the property. We document it. The only thing you will find different is that you actually pay the vendors direct. Okay, and the reason why we have our landlords pay the vendors direct, for one, we like to keep your costs down, and for two, we want to make sure that with confidence that we're not charging anything on top of that. So there's no maintenance markups or anything like that on top of your maintenance bills. And you will find that in some of the different property management companies and services that other people provide. That's how they kind of get another leg up, is they charge a markup fee on top of any maintenance items that are completed. All of that we consider as a part of your services. So the faster we can get it done, the better we can get it done. It works out for everyone. So that's not something that we do in that regard. You do have an assigned property manager who is handling all of that for you, who is keeping in touch with you, letting you know when things are scheduled, if they need to be rescheduled, if they're even necessary to be done, those sort of things we take care of for you on your behalf. Okay, your vendors we use preferred vendors, but we do continue to build relationships with vendors around town in case we find ourselves in emergency situations. We want to make sure that that line of communication is always open. Now, the other thing that's very important, we'll talk about briefly, is our 24/7 emergency response system, and that's something that we have taken time to truly develop, because it's from 5 p.m. to the following morning when the office opens. That's the main time that maintenance truly matters. Okay, so we do have a 24/7 emergency response system, and it is awesome. So the same kind of lockbox that we spoke about for the showing process, we actually keep that at your property all year round. Now, that is something that we pay for. It is not an additional cost to you in that regard, but we do include that in your services, and this is a part of the reason why. Okay, so with that, because it provides that one-time code for access, now we don't have vendors running all around town trying to get access to keys or anything in that regard. We do have that at the property. We can provide access on a one-time basis. We can provide continual access, and we can cut off access as well. So that's something that is very great for us, and it allows your residents to also be comfortable with kind of the maintenance process and the vendor process, so we can get work done more quickly, because they know that we've taken the time to really develop that, keeping them in mind as well as far as their concerns. Okay, so we have that, and we also have a kind of a maintenance hub. Okay, so whenever we do know, there are peak seasons here when it comes to property management and people looking for rentals and finding rentals. So during that time, we actually have a maintenance hub that they're answering our phone calls, they're filtering our phone calls, and they are also troubleshooting. So during that time as well, if the garbage disposal needs to be reset, things like that, instead of having a vendor go out to the property and charging you for those trip charges, our representatives are actually walking them through the process, and they're helping them troubleshoot. So those things right there kind of get funneled down, and we have the opportunity, even during the peak times, in order to provide that same quality of service and still keep your wallet in mind. Okay, so that is our 24/7 emergency response system. Your residents all have my number, the property manager's number, directly cell phone number. So if anything is going on at the property, then they can give us a call. But another reason why we have these self-service vendor lockbox and those sort of things with the one-time code, if something major is happening at your property, like water which is on the floor or anything like that, the vendor can get out there quickly to take care of it. So that's one of the reasons why we use it. Another thing that works really well for your resident is resident lockouts, things like that. Just the added benefit for them where they don't have to now call a locksmith, wait for an hour or so, and still have to pay 60 or 70 bucks to get back into their property because they left their keys on the counter. In that case, they make one phone call to us, they get into this lockbox system, they're able to get their copy of their key and return it in there for later use. So all of those things really help with the pain points that's centered around just maintenance in general, and those are some highlights. Again, this is a topic that we could talk about probably for a very long time, but in order to kind of minimize the time that we're using here, or be mindful of it anyway, I do ask that if you have any additional questions on kind of the maintenance structure portion of it, please feel free to give us a call, reach out to us, contact us. I'd be more than happy to speak with you in more detail. See you soon.